Morning. Good morning, everybody. Let me cut our music down. I see you on there, Coach Bri. I'll bring you in just in a moment. Good morning, everybody. You all come on in here. Come on in here. Come on in here. I am so excited about today's guest. I'm excited about this weekend. It has been an amazing weekend so far. Last night, I got to have siblings night with my siblings. So my sister Holly and my sister Inger and my brother Greg came over and I had cooked dinner. I felt like cooking yesterday, y'all, honey. I did barbecue neck bones and white beans and onions and green beans and I had cornbread and I made a cheesecake and they wanted pudding. It was just a great fellowship with my siblings. So it has been an amazing start. And then now today, the lab. I get to spend some time with you all. And I'm so excited for us to meet my guest today. I haven't met her in person myself. But she and I are friends in the same group. And one time she was just sharing her testimony and she didn't hide her name. And I was like, I'm going to reach out to her. So today I have Coach Bri. Her name is Stephanie Fisher, but her name is Coach Bri. And we're going to get ready to bring her on right now. And I'm going to tell you all how we caught so much hockey sticks last night. So hopefully it works good. It works.
And it's Sabrina.
It's
You believe
Sabrina. Okay. Coach Sabrina. Coach Bri. I'm gonna keep it at Coach Bri.
There we go.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for tuning in today and coming on and joining us on the lab. How are you doing?
Blessed and highly favored.
Blessed and highly favored. You can't get no better than that. Of you are blessed and highly favored. Well, I thank you. I got both phones up. I had to tell them, oh my God, last night, I always do a test run the night before. And last night, my phone and this morning, it would not work. And I just thank you for being so patient. And so today, I'm actually using my daughter's McKinsey phone.
There we go. Whatever makes it work.
Whatever I told her, I said, you know what? The devil don't want your story to get out to bless and inspire somebody. So he tried to block it, but I'm normally on my Android, but today I'm on an Apple.
There we go.
So good morning. Thank you so much for joining. I on my show, I always start off by giving people their flowers because a lot of times we wait until people are gone and then we speak well of them. And so I just want to tell you thank you. I appreciate you for coming on and sharing your story, but just reading some of your posts. And like I told them, we're in a private group together. And I just thank you for how you were sharing your story in there. And that's what made me reach out to you because, you know, a lot of people hide their names and they don't tell, but you like, no, I've been through this, and this with your name. So I just want to tell you, thank you. I want to tell you, thank you for showing your cute little boy. He is a living doll. I said, oh, he's so handsome. So I just thank you for being so open about your life and about your journey thus far.
Oh, I always tell people it's honestly my
Mhm.
honor because
Mhm.
um not everybody has the opportunity to do
Yeah.
it. And not everybody has the strength to do
Mhm.
it. And that's okay. But
Mhm.
God has instilled in me the strength to share the overcoming for and to be the voice for others who can't
And-
don't feel like they can, and that's okay. Like I have people who come to me privately and I completely understand why they can't, but
Mhm.
I'm very blessed and honored that I have this strength to speak out, to be the voice for those who just can't speak aloud about
Yeah. Yeah, and to even help them do it because getting out of any relationship is hard. But I've learned when it's toxic, it's really hard to get out of that because sometimes the attachment to it is so hard. So first of all, I have to write your question down. I said, "Honey, this is a real interview today." I said, honey, I didn't know I was dealing with a superstar. Honey, this is a superstar. I said, I was just looking at her in the little group and I got to doing some research. I said, okay, she's famous.
I know I always tell people, I'm like, I never want to be seen as a quote unquote influencer
Yeah.
because all of this transposed from the domestic violence, honestly,
Hmm.
because of how that I chose for my trajectory to go.
Yeah.
And I'm very humble. I'm from the South. I'm still just little old me, a little girl from out east. And I
Okay.
never want to be seen as an influencer. But what I want to be and what I strive to be is an advocate and an inspiration to people. So me and God pray, like I prayed about it because I was coming up on the year of it. And I was like, I don't know if I should continue to speak on it because I don't want people to think I'm trying to milk it, or I don't want people to think I'm trying to be an influencer. But and then around that time, like you immediately reached out like 2 days, like after me and God were having this like one-on-one, like what do
Hmm.
I do? Like I don't want to be seen as this person, and other opportunities just one after the other within like 3 days. And I was like, okay, God, okay, I hear it.
Yes.
I hear it.
Because this is, and I got my godmother. I see Denise, Tiffany. I see some names. My godmother's a minister, and I'm good with scriptures, but I can't always tell you where it's at. But he tells us we overcome by our testimonies. So he allowed us to go through things, to go back and share our testimony, because if we don't do that, then somebody will think they're the only ones that's going through it, and that there's no other side to it, or they can't
Right.
make it through. So he's obligating you to go and be one of his angels on earth and share what he has done for you. So I'm glad you told me you're from that. So tell me a little bit about you. I don't know anything. You're originally from Nashville. Tell us a little bit.
I was raised by a single mother.
Okay.
I'm from out east,
Okay.
and it's very specific to say that people who are from Nashville will understand. I'm
Uh-huh.
not from the gentrified Nashville.
Okay.
I'm from the old Nashville. I've lived here my whole life. Um, I didn't go to college,
Okay.
so
Me neither.
I believe my worth ethic, like I've told people I've worked for, is I don't have a piece of paper to
Mm-hmm.
show you how smart I am.
Mm-hmm.
To me, actions and my character will speak above any title, any degree, anything I ever have. So I work to prove who I am to
Oh my.
people. Like I know who I am, so I'm going to show up every day and be my fighter self and just my character. I never let people take my character
Yeah.
away, and I just 100% authentically show up as myself every day. And I don't know if you've seen this part of my story, is I wake up every day very grateful and knowing I have a divine purpose,
Mm-hmm.
because August 8th, 2010, I died in a motorcycle wreck.
No.
And the doctors told my primary doctor that was at Vanderbilt, like, we're just waiting on her. There's nothing else we can do for her. I took 2 massive blows to the brain. Like, technically, I have traumatic brain injury.
Mm.
Never know it.
You never
So
know.
I know that I have divine purpose. So
Yes.
every day and I don't take that for granted. I don't
Yes.
take being able to see you on this screen, being able to speak, being
Mhm.
able to smile, being able to take. God's got a plan. I trust it. I may
Yeah.
not understand it, but just,
Yes.
I mean, even yesterday something happened. I'm
Uh,
just like breathe. It's gonna be okay. But,
yeah.
yeah. So like, I believe every single person walking the face of this earth has a
Mhm.
divine purpose, and
Yes.
God will
Yes.
call them home once their divine purpose has been fulfilled and He is pleased. But until then, I know that every day I have,
You got to wake up.
yeah. So.
Yeah, you're going, oh my God. No, I just seen like a clip of that. I think you were on a radio station. I just seen it yesterday where you were sharing about being in a motorcycle accident, and I cut it off because I didn't want to hear all of it. I was like, no, just in case you share it. I always tell people I never send people their questions before. I try not to do too much talking because I want to be intrigued just like the people that are listening now or that going to watch. And I see Pastor Brandon on here. I see my cousin Silk in Ohio on here. So I like to try to give them shots out. So we thank you all for joining us. But I said I got to get some real questions for her. So one of the things, because today you all, we're going to talk about how she got out of a toxic relationship, and she's going to share however the Lord leads her to share. But at what point did you realize the relationship was toxic? How long were you in it? At what point did you know this is toxic?
So, believe it or not, I started seeing signs
Mm-hmm.
that something wasn't right. I want to say, because it was only a 4-month relationship at that.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
And I think, and I truly believe that what I did was trauma bond with this
Mm-hmm.
person, because I,
Okay.
I knew that they were going through things, but I know that in the past I've been there and I wanted to help them through it. Like I knew what they needed, or at least the steps to take to get what they needed, a therapy,
Yeah.
self-awareness, self-accountability, all of these things. So I'm like, and again, I didn't really know a lot at the beginning, but there were just little things like where they would emotionally shut down or just, and I could see things and I wanted to love them through it.
Oh
That's
my
the thing
God.
is I love people.
Yes.
I love every person and I will love them through it. And
Yes.
because I do, I tell people, I'm like, I will love you until you learn how to love yourself.
Uh-huh.
Because I never let people feel like, I know how I've been to a place in my life where I have felt unworthy and unloved.
Okay.
And, I think it's Robin Williams that said people who are the happiest are the people who have experienced the most pain because they never want somebody else to experience that.
Oh my
And
God.
I completely feel that because I do believe that's why my heart and the way I am is the way I am, because throughout my life, I've experienced so many hurts and just lows.
Yeah.
So like in that relationship, I wanted to help them. I didn't understand. I was trying to talk to them. And then I did find out from his family, there were some issues that needed to be addressed. But again, he just wouldn't, like, people can go to therapy reluctantly. And
Yeah.
if you go in reluctantly, it's not going to
It's
do anything.
not going to do
You
anything
have
because you're
to
just
want in your heart to go.
yes, you have to be in the place to where you want to change. You want to see different, because I've been in a situation when I was married and it's like, okay, they go because they don't want to lose you, but it's not because they really want to do different.
I've been in that exact situation with my ex-husband too.
Yeah.
But this person, they even said, well, I'll go to therapy if you go with me. No. And
No.
at that point, because I'd been through what I had been through with my husband, my ex-husband, said no, because I was like, I'm not saying that we could never get there, but first we need to deal with ourselves individually because I go to therapy. I'm not ashamed to say that. I believe every person should be required to go to
What you
therapy. I
said.
mean, it's not, and I think that that's a very sad thing that our world has made it seem that it's a stigma around if you go to therapy, like something's wrong with you. No,
Yeah.
you're human and you just need to
Yes.
talk.
Yes. You need help.
And I told them, I said, if you get to therapy, and I wasn't going to force them, I wasn't going to do it for them. And I gave them chance after chance to go.
Okay.
And I went on a vacation with my son and a couple of my friends. Well, my friend and her daughter, and something had happened like the night before I left, and you could tell like he has abandonment issues.
Okay.
Because even when I was going on this vacation without him the night before, he just shut down. Like there was very uncalled for things that happened. I'm like, what is happening? And I remember when I left to go on that vacation, I told him, I was like, I don't think we need to talk while I'm gone. I was like, we both need to focus on each other and what we want out of this relationship. And, because at that point, I was like, because I told him, I said, I'm not willing to go backwards in my healing journey to help heal you. That's one thing I would not compromise on.
Well, that's good.
And when I got back from my vacation, I remember telling myself at this point, because it had already been like maybe a month or two where we had talked about him going to therapy, and he said, oh, I'll go. But he never went.
So you're telling me the relationship was only 4 months, and in 4 months you was talking about therapy?
Yes. Because again, but it wasn't like relationship therapy. Like you could tell there was unhealed traumas in him.
Yeah.
Because he was.
But I'm just saying.
And when I say this is not victim's remorse. When I say this, he was an amazing man. He is an amazing man. He is.
Yeah.
Like, I thought my, Prince Charming on a white horse rode in. He was an amazing man. I'm not taking that away from him. But when he drank, his
my God,
dark demons came out because of where he's tried to hide it and not face things.
Oh my, that right there, that's so crazy, because my ex was like that. Like he's but I learned this after I had left him, after I went to therapy, after some things came to light. One thing I learned was, like you said, he really is an amazing man. And I'm talking about not my last ex, the one before that. He was a hard worker, A1 credit, OCD. All of these things were amazing. He checked the points.
Yeah.
But when alcohol became into play, I seen a different person. And to him, it's like, you're supposed to love me through this. But I'm looking like, no, if I'm scared or I feel unsafe or I'm not used to this type of relationship, this type of environment, then no. And I remember, I think I was watching, I forgot I think it was Lisa Ray. She did an interview the other day. And because I felt like you can't love me if you do this, and that. And I learned, no, I think some of them really do love you. It's just, I don't want the love that you want, the form of love that you want to give me. I don't want that love, because if they're used to being in an environment that was argumentative and aggressive, and that's what they relate to as love, that's how they're going to show you love. And so I had to learn, you know what? Maybe he really did love me, but his love, the love he had to give me, wasn't good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That totally exists. And the crazy part is, I don't want to say during the day, because like the way he loved me, it was it was the best love I'd ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, and I know that sounds crazy, and that's why I say, but this is the reality, and I want to speak on this for anybody, man or woman, who's out there.
Yeah.
They can be your perfect package, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's not wrapped correctly.
Yes.
So I really want to speak out on that, because somebody can be perfect, and when these bad things do happen, it doesn't mean something's wrong with you.
Yes. Yes.
Because there's times where you want to blame yourself
Mm-hmm.
for how they're acting,
Mm-hmm.
or that you did something wrong, and it's not that.
Yeah.
And like I said, when he would drink, I would notice small things that was like, what is this? And I think there might have been only one time that I was like, oh, that was kind of scary.
Yeah.
But it was never like physical or throwing things or anything.
Okay. Good. I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people think, oh, he didn't put his hands on me, so it's not toxic, or it's not narcissist, or it's not dangerous. No, words, actions,
Emotional abuse is worse sometimes than physical abuse.
That's what I say, because I done had surgery and I done healed from that. It might left a little scar, but I've gone on. I had weight loss surgery. I was 300 pounds. I've gone and healed on from that.
Yeah.
But things that have been said to me in the middle of an argument, I remember those to this day. I don't dwell on them, but I remember the hurtful things. And then I'm like, that's in your heart.
Yeah.
And then you didn't even have self-control not to say it. Like, I thought a lot of stuff. But I don't always say what I think. But I thought a lot of stuff, but I'm like, wow, to actually let that come out. So yeah, I'm glad you said that it wasn't physical. It wasn't that, but it was still toxic. So what was some of your red flags to where you was like, you know what? This is not good.
The biggest one, which it was new to me, right? I will say that because I never experienced this one, is they would shut down.
Okay.
Meaning they would just get really quiet and not talk. I'm like, what's going on? Nothing. And again, it's learning a person. Well, maybe they're just doing something. But then I learned that he would intentionally withdraw affection because he was in his head about something. Nothing I did. And I know that and it's going to be one of these things like, oh, I didn't do anything. I didn't do it. Like really, like it would be like, where did that come from? Like me going on vacation that was already planned with a friend and our 2 kids.
Okay.
Like the night before, he emotionally shut down and like almost conjured up. Like he would never, how do I explain it? He would never like pick and yell and argue to make the argument stop, but his actions would cause me to then try to be like, what is wrong? And then an argument would start. But yeah, he would always be quiet and me trying to understand.
Right. And it's still a form of an abuse when someone purposely, and I have to be honest, I've been type. That was part of my thing. I was shut down, and I could be right in the car with you, and they're like, Brandy, and I look out that window like.
I think we all have that moment where you need to be quiet because you just don't know what to say at the moment.
Yeah, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but baby, I look out that window and you think I'm driving the car, because honey, I'm looking so straight ahead. I'm not replying to you. And so I've learned that is toxic.
Yeah.
That is hurtful. So now I'm like, you know what? okay, let me tell you this. Or I have a friend, and he might be like, okay, where you at in your head? And I'll be like, okay, I was thinking this, this. And so that is a form of abuse, shutting down. So
And I've
how
also taught
did
my
this
son. Oh,
no,
sorry. I was
go
gonna say
ahead.
I've also taught my son, like, because you get in moments where you just don't want to say the wrong thing. So
Yes.
my 9-year-old and me will look at each other and be like, I just need a minute,
Oh,
and then
that's
we can
good.
talk. Because we both, again, with us both going through therapy, because this abuse did eventually turn into physical abuse.
Um,
But me and him have learned that sometimes you can say things out of emotion, and that's not the best time to say it.
okay.
So even
Yes.
my 9-year-old and him, we know, hey, I just need a minute. I don't want to talk right now. Not right now, but we'll talk
Yeah.
later. And my 9-year, sometimes he'll be like, Mommy, I just need a minute.
And that's so cute.
But because I lead by example, right? But I used to not always be like that. But I'll tell him, I'm so upset right now. I don't want to say the wrong thing. Let me process how I'm feeling so I can figure out what I'm really feeling and then explain it to
And
you.
it's good you're
You know,
teaching him that young, so he will be an emotional safe man when he gets older, because I think that's a lot. Brandon said toxic relationships can mess you up so bad you think crazy is normal. That is so true.
so
That is
my
so true.
my my marriage before this relationship,
Hmm.
it was a
Okay.
narcissist. But I didn't know what a narcissist was
Oh my God,
until
me either.
until after my divorce, when I went through therapy.
Oh my.
And I learned, because I went to therapy going, I'm crazy. I'm crazy. Because, like, literally, we could sit there and have a conversation about doing something, and then said event would come around and we'd be doing it. He'd be like, I never said that. But you did. And he would literally make me think that I went crazy going, I never said that. I never did that. But you did. To where I started questioning my mental health. Like,
Oh my
am I
God.
am I imagining things?
No, you're not. No, I had not heard of the word narcissist until I left, moved back home with my parents, and just started doing like research on YouTube because I thought I was crazy. And I'm like, I'm just searching just crazy stuff. And then I found out about it. And now I'm like obsessed with learning about it,
Yeah.
because I'm like, that's what I was doing. That's what I was living in. And so, oh my God, that's crazy. Okay, so let me ask you this. How did this, I mean, it was a short relationship, but how did this impact like your self-esteem, and how did his actions or that environment, affect your self-esteem?
Well, I did really well. And I always kind of make this joke, and I know God knows that I'm joking, but I'm stubborn sometimes because I want to love people through things.
Mm-hmm.
The day that I got back from the
Mm-hmm.
vacation, that morning, I had told myself, if he's not found a therapist yet, I'm done.
Okay.
Because he was living with me, I was like, he's got to at least move out so he will quit focusing on my son and I so much so he could have time to focus on himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back, and he had not found a therapist. And I said, I'm done. I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you need to move out. And I told him, I said, we're not breaking up, but you got to have time to focus on
Yeah.
yourself. And he begged. He's like, this is all new to me. I'm trying. Please just be patient with me. I have
Mm-hmm.
this great evening planned for us, a beautiful dinner, piano bar, all these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm really trying, right?
Yeah.
So me, God gave me this thing. Be done. Just be done.
Oh.
The me and me, the southern, the humble, like take care of
Mm-hmm.
them. So I literally say, and I make this a joke because it is serious, but that night is when I got my face busted open. And I
Yeah.
said, well, God literally had to thump me on the forehead and go, I
Mm.
told you to stop.
Oh my God. Wow. Yes. And it's crazy how he will give us warnings, and he will
Mhm.
tell us, and we override like, okay, God, but I'm gonna do it this way so you can bless it this way. And it's really crazy because I mean I've been the exact same way. And I'm like, he's like, don't marry that person. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, but
But
but his credit and my credit, and his bank account, my bank account, and God, I tell people all the time, he let us acquire everything tangible, anything that we put on paper we want to do, but respect,
yeah,
love, protection, covering. I say now, I haven't been covered since I left my parents' home,
yeah,
far as a man, because my dad is he's just an amazing person. He's just an amazing man. And I always share, I've never been in a relationship with someone who came from a two-parent home, like I did, who started off Christians. I always tried to bring them to the faith.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of that stuff where I thought I could
Yeah.
change them or show them something different, because I'm like you, I'm gonna love you to life. And
Right.
so I learned, no, they'll take your life if
Yeah.
you allow them. So do you want to go in on what happened that made it go physical, or do you share that at all, or is
No,
that
I
kind of
do.
like
I
a
do
okay?
100%. But before I go into that, I
Mhm.
want to make sure I touch on your question about how did it affect my
Yeah.
self-esteem. So my self-esteem is one, I had the right judgment call. I knew what to do, and I second guessed myself. So I
Mhm.
don't know if you've ever heard, but I don't remember who it is. It's a study that when you take a very hard test, go
Mhm.
with your first
First,
answer. Because if you
yes,
go
most
back
definitely.
and you try to get another one, that's the one you're going to get wrong. So I
Yes,
questioned myself.
yeah.
So I started, and because the one thing I always wanted to do to my son is protect him from what I
Mhm.
had control to protect
Yeah.
him over, because my trauma actually started in the first grade through
Mm.
my family. And I was like, my son will never go through that. Like I was raped by my mother's
Oh
boyfriend,
wow.
first and second.
Oh,
And
I'm sorry to hear that.
I was like, my son will never go through trauma. Well, guess what grade my son was in when this happened? Second grade. And
Second grade.
I
Wow.
felt like I failed my son because the
Mm.
one thing I wanted to do was always protect him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, now my face has physically been altered.
Uh.
So like it, my self-esteem was it. I always say I've been through so much in my life I could really write a book,
Mm-hmm.
but this incident
Mm-hmm.
shattered me. It didn't just break me, it shattered me. There was no whole piece of me ever again. Like I think I truly got to the darkest place ever
Okay. So
after this.
so what happened? Oh my God.
So we went out to dinner that night, and but we
Mm-hmm.
took an Uber down there because we were going to have drinks.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to dinner, and dinner was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But here was the thing: is in the Uber on the way down there, we're still having conversation because I didn't let it go. Like again, God was still,
Yeah.
and I was
Telling
like,
you.
look, just because we're doing this, this doesn't go away. I'm like, you have to start talking to me about when you're feeling things.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if another one of these incidents happen again, I was like, I'm done.
Done.
I
Done.
can't
Yeah.
do this. Which honestly, I'm not blaming myself, but me
Mm-hmm.
saying that, I do believe is what made the
Trigger.
night go as bad as it did at the end.
Yeah.
Because we went to dinner again, like I said, we're having this conversation where I pretty much was like, I set my own boundaries for
Mm-hmm.
my own mental health. And we get to dinner, we're eating, it's great. Then we stop by like Bar Louie's and have, a drink there while we
Mm-hmm.
were waiting, taking pictures by the butterfly wings.
Yeah.
But he lost my driver's license. He told me not to bring my credit cards, money, anything, that he was taking care of all of it. But he
Mm-hmm.
lost my
I did.
driver's license.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we go to another place, and even though I'm from Nashville, I'm not big about like honky tonk bars and bar hopping. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a touristy thing to me. It's not something, but we had went to one. I was like, my feet hurt. I'm ready to go. He was like, okay. And when I tell you this story, it's gonna sound made
Uh-huh.
up, but he had drank a lot,
Okay.
and I believe it's Fifth and Broad where the Apple store is. There's a
Mm-hmm.
corner there,
Mm-hmm.
and we walked over there because he was looking for the Uber, and he said it was like up the street, just around to the next street on the corner, and he was like, well, we need to wait on it here, and I was like, well, there's one right here because they have all the little Ubers that
Yeah.
are running. He goes, no, we have to wait on this one. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, literally where the sidewalk is.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, I'm just gonna go sit down right like on the wall where Apple is
Uh-huh.
because I had on
I know
heels.
what
Like,
that is.
my
Mm-hmm.
feet hurt
Yeah.
just from the side of the sidewalk for me to walk over here and sit down. I turn around and he's gone. I don't see him anywhere. It's like he vanished.
Uh-uh.
And I'm like, again, I have no wallet, no ID. And I look really nice, right? Like having like this little red skirt, this top, some high heels. One, it's probably like 1
Yeah.
a.m. downtown Nashville. That's not a safe place for me to be.
No.
Not like
No.
that. So I'm looking around, I'm calling him, I'm
Uh-huh.
texting him, blowing him up. He's not answering the phone. And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, where are you at this point? Because again, I had been
Yeah.
drinking. I was not so drunk I couldn't walk or understand. I remember everything,
Yeah.
but what am I going to do? I started freaking out, right?
Mhm.
At that moment, it never registered call a friend because again, it's one or two in the
To the
morning, like
morning,
it's
yeah.
after
And you've
midnight.
been drinking. So yeah.
And my friends are all married or
Yeah.
have children, so it's not like it's not like when you're like 25, I'm like, hey girl, come get
Right.
me. It's not that.
Exactly.
So I'm just sitting here calling and freaking out. I walk over to a cab. They tell me they're going to charge me like $150 to take me home.
Oh
And I
wow.
didn't have a credit card, so they're like, no. And again,
Yeah, I'm not taking you.
I normally didn't do Uber and stuff, so I didn't have the app on my phone because
Uh-huh.
I don't normally drink much, right? So I don't use those services.
Right.
So I'm sitting there, and again, what I'm about to say is not the smart thing, but I truly believe God protected me. I saw this truck with a couple of younger guys in it, right?
Uh-huh.
And I didn't know why, but I asked them what area they were going to and if they could get me home. But I think that they could tell I was terrified,
Uh-huh.
right? But
Yeah.
they had like a dual cab truck. So they told me to get in the back, and again, they were younger guys. They didn't look harmful, which I know that looks can be
Right,
deceiving.
exactly.
But I'm not kidding when I say I got in the back of this truck before I could shut the door. He jumped in the back of the
Oh
truck.
my God.
Like, where have you been?
Right.
And he's yelling.
Uh-huh.
He'd never yelled. He had never raised his voice.
Oh wow. Okay.
But he would be very, he's
Assertive.
calm. He's very monotone.
Mhm.
But he yelled.
Okay.
And he looked at, he's like, are you an Uber? Are you this? And he was like, no. He's like, oh, so you're just going to jump in the truck with some guys.
Mhm.
And I'm like, where have you been? Like, I was trying to find you,
Mhm.
Because I told these guys, like, I'll give you money when you get me home, like all these things. So he jumps out of the truck and I get out behind him. And I don't remember this part. I will say this is, but I don't remember what happened.
Mhm.
But I just remember him walking away and me crying. But
Mhm.
I know that I would have never turned around and got back in that truck because that's not the safe. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
At that point, I don't think any situation was a safe situation.
Yeah.
But I chose to turn around and get back in that truck.
No.
So that at the moment, that was the safest thing for
Okay.
me. I do know that.
Mhm.
And these two young gentlemen, like he drops his one friend off, and as he's on his way home to me, he needed to stop and get gas. He walked inside and got me a Sprite. I didn't even ask for it because he
Yeah.
could just tell how sad and upset I was. And I think these gentlemen, like they saw what that man did to me, and I think they were just like, we have to protect her. We have to get her
Yeah.
home.
Of
So,
course.
they didn't try to talk to me. They didn't do anything like, and I had handed them my phone because I didn't want to give them my address. So I
Uh-huh.
put my address in the map and I just laid
That
my
here.
phone there. Well,
Mhm.
he had then started texting me and calling me, but I didn't see it because I didn't have my
Have your
phone.
phone. Yeah. Oh wow.
But then get this. So we did stop. We dropped his friend off, stopped by a gas station. But then when I get home, and I even had cameras on my house, still do.
Mhm.
And you see where he parks on the street, doesn't even pull in my driveway. And I
Mhm.
tell him to wait so I could go inside and get my wallet and give him money. And as I'm walking down my driveway, the guy walks around my
Mhm.
ex from the front of my house. He's already here, sitting in the dark, like
Oh wow.
to where he scares me, where I dropped my phone, my purse, and everything because he scared me.
Yeah.
And I walk in and I get my wallet right inside the
Mhm.
door, walk back outside, tell the gentleman thank you, give him some money, and I come back in. And I just remember him yelling and saying all these things, but he was grabbing like tons of his stuff and just throwing it on the bed, throwing it on the bed, throwing it on the bed. And I just remember thinking, I can't do this. I can't.
Mhm.
So I'm walking through my bathroom and he's coming this way. And I just remember saying, I'm just going to go to bed.
Yeah.
It's like, I have attitude. I will argue. I was
Right.
done. I was done. It wasn't worth it. I was like, I'm just going to go to bed. I
Mhm.
remember that's all I said is, I'm just going to go to bed. I changed my clothes and I went to get in the bed. And because he had thrown so much up, I think when I picked up the covers to
Mhm.
get in the bed, it knocked some of the stuff in the
Mhm.
floor. But I remember I turned out the lights and I got in the bed.
Mhm.
And then he comes back in the house and it was a monster. Like I
Mhm.
was terrified. He started screaming and yelling, but the lights were still off and he just started picking up things and throwing them at me. As I'm
Mhm.
laying down and I get up and I'm like, stop, stop,
Yeah.
stop. And I remember sitting up and about that time my head just does this because I didn't know what it was then, and I even told the cops and the lawyers what I thought it was, but they never found it. Do you know those game cards that you can get, like word card games where you say do this or that?
Yeah.
But they're
Mhm.
boxes of cards, they're like this
Yeah.
big. I got hit in the head with that, like here.
Mm.
And I just remember my head doing that, and just like my face just started gush, like I felt blood running down my face. And I was
Yeah.
like, Lord forgive me. I was like, F this, I'm calling the cops.
I know that's right.
I'm calling the cops. And he said, fine, call them. I'll leave my gun laying right here, because he had his gun in his hand.
Mm.
Yeah, I didn't know the
Yeah.
lights were off.
Yeah.
So I immediately pick up the phone, call 911. And because he had went back outside, and they're like, can you safely get out of the house?
Uh-huh.
And I was in the backyard in the dark, shaking, and the cops get here. And I even said this to friends the next day and days after, because again, he was a good man. He was a
Mm-hmm.
good man.
Yeah.
I'm sure he still is a good man
Mm-hmm.
if he just doesn't drink and get some help.
Right.
But I told them, I said, I don't believe he knows what he did,
Mm.
because I know him well enough that if he would have realized, if he would have saw the blood, he would have went, what the F did I just do?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I did, like, but here's another thing. This isn't victim's remorse, because you don't throw something at somebody's head without the intent to hit them.
To hit them. I
I
was, yeah, I understand, because if he had alcohol in him also, he might not have known, but you still got to have some type of self
Yeah.
control. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, you're still a woman. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And I don't want you to feel like, oh, I did this, or maybe I could have done this different. No, that was a spirit in
Yeah.
him in that moment that
Yeah.
did what he wanted to do in that moment.
Yeah.
So did he go to jail because of that?
100%.
Okay.
Because, and like how I said earlier in the story, how I feel like it's not my fault, but I think what I said triggered for him to do what happened was when I said, if anything like this happens again, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I think he realized that he lost me, and he was angry at
Yeah.
himself. And
But
the
yeah,
fury and the rage came out at me.
yeah.
So all of
Out
that
there.
happens. He went to jail that night.
Okay.
But when I finally did get the police report, because people were like, you're having victim's remorse. I'm like, I'm not. I'm having human remorse. It's not
Mm-hmm.
okay what he did,
Mm-hmm.
but mental health is real.
Mm-hmm.
Alcoholism is real. Like,
Yeah.
I work with mental health and substance abuse during the day.
Yeah.
I understand that this stuff is
Mm-hmm.
real. I'm not giving him an excuse for why he did what he did or how he did it, but
Yeah.
it's real. And he's still a
Mm-hmm.
human. Sure enough, when I got this police report, I was reading it, and it said that when they got here, he was loading stuff in the car, and the officers had him sit down and said, did y'all get an altercation? And he said, no. He said, then why is Miss Fisher bleeding? He goes, what do you mean she's bleeding?
Oh, wow.
And
Wow.
honestly, by the time we got to court, I truly don't believe to this day he knows what happened that night. I think he
Wow.
was that drunk.
Wow. Well, you know what? If I be honest, I mean, I have to be honest. I think I was about 2021. And you can have an out of body experience. But mine was rage. Let me make a long story short. I ended up at jail. I, I ended up in jail that night, but I will be honest, and that's one thing I want to always do is be honest with people. I'll never forget when I got to the jail cell and I had calmed down. I had peed on myself. I hadn't noticed when I was in the behind in the jail. I mean, in the police car. I didn't notice anything till after they had booked me, checked me, and set me in. Maybe because I was cold, I sat down, and I'm like, when did I use the
Yeah.
bathroom? But I was in such a rage.
Yeah.
And I had to deal with that whole situation. I had to go to domestic violence. I had to go to anger management. I had to do community service. I had to pay. And I never ever went back after that. And I was like, you know what? I gotta control my temper. I'm not gonna say what happened to person or what happened, all
Yeah.
that type of stuff. But I did. I mean, so I get what you're saying. He could have been that upset or that, and I didn't even have any alcohol in my system, but I was that mad at what I had ran into, and I lost it. I lost it. So I know that can be possible. So I know people be like, okay, so now let's get on. How did that situation push you into your fitness journey? How did that become?
So the healing journey at the beginning
Mhm.
was one, getting myself and my son into therapy.
And it
But
was your son there that
He
night?
was not, but he came home the next day and my face was swollen,
Oh,
blood on the carpets, on the bed.
oh,
The man
wow.
he looked up to was no longer here and in jail. He was more heartbroken at the beginning that he was in jail. It's
Okay, okay.
so I had to explain to him in a child's version what happened. Then when I tell you that poor child went through every roller coaster of grieving emotions.
Mm,
So I put him through there, like
okay,
through therapy too, and he wanted to go.
that's good.
But
Now,
when
did you have to get stitches
I
or anything like that?
did. So, and this was a blessing in disguise. God has really turned and made all of this into an amazing testimony. I have a scar from here to here,
Mm-hmm.
but Plastic Surgery Center of Nashville heard of my
Mm-hmm.
story and they said that I didn't deserve that and I was the victim and they're doing a laser scar removal
Mm-hmm.
on it for free. Like
Wow.
you can
That's
barely see it
yeah.
now, but on like I said, on my page, on my videos for anybody
Uh-huh.
watching, if you go under my videos, there's a video with a purple ribbon on it because it's viewer discretion, and there's actual pictures from that night. If
Wow. Oh wow.
anybody does want to see how bad it really was,
Oh
but
wow.
but I tried to go to therapy, and the therapist, and very ther like their therapist words said, "Have you ever been diagnosed with PTSD?" And I said, "No." She said, "I can't help you." She said,
Mm,
"You need to be evaluated for PTSD," and I did, and they put me through EMDR
okay.
therapy, like emotional distress response therapy.
Okay.
So that helped me a bunch. But when I got out of that,
Mm-hmm.
and on October 17th is when I posted about becoming a victim because I truly believe that the more people speak out, other people will realize that they're not
Yes.
alone. And they didn't do anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
so I when I posted that my inbox is flooded, people reaching out to me that just wanted because I said my inbox is always open, you're safe with me because
Yeah.
there is healing and communication. I don't need to tell their stories, but the
Mm-hmm.
fact that they could tell their story to me is healing.
Yes, it
Both of
is.
us,
Yes,
you
it
know.
is.
And my weight, my cortisol levels, my emotion, my mental, everything just went plummet.
Mm.
And of course, I'm an online fitness coach and I've never done a competition. It's so funny. My friends pick on me now because I was like, I never want to compete. I'm not there. I just want to be healthy and eat drink margaritas and eat tacos. Like
Right.
I want to enjoy life.
Right.
But I had heard that going through
Uh-huh.
competing, like the prep for it, is the hardest thing you'll ever do because it breaks you down to your mental. It's not about your
Okay.
physical. And I said, my whole life, I've been seen as resilient. I don't want to
Mhm.
be resilient. To me, that's a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
Like, congratulations, you went through what was meant to break you, which is great.
Yes.
I said, I want to be seen as strong, not
Yes.
resilient. So I
Yes.
told myself, I said, I want to get a competition coach
Uh-huh.
because I want to choose my heart this time. I don't want to be backed into a corner to feel like I have to fight or flight. I
Mm-hmm.
want to see how strong I am
Wow.
because I want to. So I remember when I hired my coach, he said, "When's your show date?" I said, "My birthday." He goes, "What show's then?" I said, "It's my birthday. I'm just doing it for me." He's like, "Really?" I'm like,
Uh-huh.
"Yes." I said, "Because I want." He's because I know toward the end it's about the mental. I said, and I explained all of it to him. But then when my birthday came around, I lost 50
Wow.
pounds in less than 6 months, and just seeing the inspiration that I became to
Yeah.
others just by doing it, even just not just being healthier in their life, the impact
Mhm.
it was having on my son, everything.
Wow.
I wanted to give back, which everybody said, don't do it for other people, but it was different. Me stepping on that stage when I did decide to
Mhm.
compete, it was to see how far I could go. But honestly, it was to my supporters and my survivors.
Wow.
And that's why my suit was
Oh,
purple. And that's why we get
okay.
up there. It was just fun. I didn't expect to even place or get anything. I lost too much body fat.
You look
Right.
amazing.
Right. So, but me doing it, it was to say, I am woman, hear me
Mhm.
roar. I'm a survivor. Like, I
Mhm.
can do this too. It's possible.
Yeah.
Because it's like everything seems impossible until you do it.
What?
So
So
that's
did
what honestly got me into it. And then when I did it, again, still opportunities flowing out to be able to be a testimony and inspiration to others. That now that this is something I desire. And it's not
mm-hmm.
because I need it anymore to
Mm-hmm.
go, I gotta heal. I wrote my coach a letter the day of that show and gave it to him. And I said, "You healed the broken little girl inside of me. You helped
Oh,
heal her and make me
that was
a
beautiful.
woman to help other people."
Yeah.
But now it's
So
being strong. And
Now, were you already working out? Were you used to working out
yeah,
before all this even happened? So you always had a good workout ethic.
not always.
Okay.
I was an overweight child.
Okay.
So like
Me too.
I was 155 pounds when I was 12.
Yeah.
So my
Okay.
weight my whole life has been like this.
Okay.
But again, the working out before that was more for sustainability and just endurance and being strong instead of actually having intention of why I was doing it.
Okay, so let me ask you, if you were speaking with someone now who knew they were in a toxic relationship, physical, verbal, mental, financial, what would be your advice for them getting out or making the best decision for them?
I'm putting myself back in their place because somebody, like, sometimes the words come out easier than
Mm-hmm.
what the actions are. But at the end of the day, it's every person around you deserves the best version of you. And if you
Mm-hmm.
have something around you that's continuously taking from you to not allow you to be your best,
Mm-hmm.
then you're doing a disservice not only to yourself, but other people around you.
Yeah.
And no matter how hard it's going to be leaving,
Mm-hmm.
staying in the long run is going to be harder,
Mm-hmm.
potentially. And I'm not speaking into existence, but it's the reality, or maybe the end of your life.
Mm-hmm. No, that's real. That's
And
real.
out there that will help.
Mm-hmm.
So I always say this, even to my clients, for every excuse you give me to not do for yourself, I'll give you 5 reasons why you should.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
trust me, I've been there. You can make the excuses to talk yourself out of it.
Yes. Oh my God. Me too.
But
I've been there.
but if they do it once, they're I'm not saying they will, but they're capable to do it
Do it
again.
again.
And do
Yeah.
you want to, and like that's literally putting your life in somebody else's
Mhm.
hands, and
Yeah.
they've already shown you that they will break you.
Yes. And I'd say, and it's like I say, it's not even always just the physical, because when someone verbally abuses you, that's hard, and that's hard to take, because it's like, oh my God, you love me, how can you say, such evil things to me, and then go to sleep like you hadn't just tried to crush my whole
Yeah.
existence. Yeah, so I feel like I'm like you. I am. I have learned that maybe I should have been a little bit more long suffering in some situations, not reacted so quick. But in that moment, I felt like, for my peace, for my sanity, this is what I need to do for my mental, because I don't do good in environments that, I came from a family that was very uplifting and spiritual and nice. I mean, we had don't get me wrong, we still had our issues, and our parents argued from time to time, but you still knew they had your best interests at heart. So being around people, because you could tell when someone, my girlfriend and I, we was like, somebody can love you, but if they don't like you,
Yeah.
it's a difference, because when I like you, I want to do things to make you happy, or I know it's going to make you smile, or I want to surprise you. It's different things I do when I like, because I love everybody. Everybody I love, I don't want to do that stuff because I don't like them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, when you're around someone, because you could be married to somebody that don't like you.
Yeah.
Just like, I remember I would say, you're my friend, but I'm not your friend. I'm like, I can tell how you treat me. I can tell how I treat you. It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's different. And so I just want people to know, you know, God, he tells us he comes that we have life and have it more abundantly. And if you're not in that type of situation, especially because of someone else, and if it's because of yourself, then do go get the help.
Mhm.
Get the join these positive groups, go to therapy, do the work on you before you come into somebody's life to make their life a living hell.
And one thing to add to that is because, again, after talking to people, or even if you find one person
Mm-hmm.
to talk to, if you can't bring yourself to go to therapy,
Mm-hmm.
or if you can't find yourself to go into a group because you're embarrassed, find that one person.
Yeah.
And here's going to sound a crazy part again. if somebody's on your broadcast right now that doesn't know me, come to me, because going to a
Mm-hmm.
therapist, they listen, but they haven't lived what you've been through. But sometimes
Yes.
going to a friend and talking to my girlfriend that I know she
Mm-hmm.
loves me, my friends love me so much,
Yeah.
and they could hear anything, but they didn't know what I was going through. They didn't,
Yes.
like, I know that they meant the best, and they were amazing. They were my foundation for getting through it, but they didn't understand.
Yeah.
And they
Because
tried, but so finding even somebody with like-mindedness, that's why I say my DMs are always open, just to be able to communicate with somebody who knows what you went through.
yeah. Yeah.
Can sometimes just be the stepping stone that you need
Mm-hmm.
to take the next step, to go to that group or to a therapist.
Yeah, because good morning, Terrence and Amy. Good morning. But it is hard when they haven't experienced that. And then, because I'm pretty sure people that heard you talking is like, why she keep saying he's a wonderful man? Why she keep saying this? Why? Because you're able to look beyond the mishaps. And I did that after I got out of a situation. I was like, you know what? He might have really been trying to be good, but he had a bad moment. However, I'm not going to ignore the bad moment. The
Right.
bad moments was the bad moments. But I was able, so then at one time we tried to spin the block. I spent the block. But then after spending the block, I still learned, no,
Yeah.
this is why we're not together. It wasn't as bad, but it was like, no, I felt myself going back,
Right.
feeling a certain kind of way. And I'm like, I was able to forgive. I was able to apologize on my actions. And I wanted him to take more accountability, but it is what it
Well,
is.
and forgiveness is for us, not for them.
It's not for
And
them.
also,
Yeah.
even like that reminds me when you were like, how people are probably like, she's talking about like he was a great guy, because he was.
Yeah.
And even when we went to court, the lawyers asked me, they're like, what do you want to see happen to him? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, therapy,
Mm-hmm.
AA meetings. I
Mm-hmm.
want, restitution for the medical bills
Yeah.
that I had to pay for going to the hospital.
I know that's right.
And
Yeah.
I said, I want him to stay away from me and my son. And they're like,
That's
that's it? I said, it's
it.
not. I was like, I don't need anything.
Yeah.
I want him helped.
Yeah.
Because that's
That's so awesome.
another thing that I think it's part of a grieving process, but it doesn't help, is to try to look to hurt the other
Yeah.
person back, right? You can't
Yeah.
heal if you're trying to hurt the person who hurt you.
You cannot. You
Forgive them
cannot.
and move on. Because like I said, the only thing I really wanted for him was healing.
Right. Yeah. Unbelievable. That is my daughter scared me. That I was like, wait a minute, that's my daughter. I got her phone. But okay, so to lighten this a little bit, I said I want to end out on some fun questions for you. So since you work out so amazing, what is your playlist like when you work out?
uh, it's very like 80s and 90s R&B. Hear me out.
Okay.
Sometimes. And then we'll have Trick Daddy in there.
Yes.
It just depends on the mood I'm in.
Uh-huh.
But honestly, most of the time, it's like an R&B thing.
Okay.
I know that it sounds crazy because it like clears my mind, because when I'm in the gym, I'm very tunnel vision unless I'm trying to completely kill myself and go with new weights and everything. And
Uh-huh.
then I put on some hype music. Like I said, this Trick Daddy, and like there's all kinds of things. Chris Brown. I actually have a gym playlist. So it's
Okay.
pretty.
That's crazy because my daughter laughs whenever I'm getting ready or I walk with my headphones on. I do the '90s rap. I love Mystical and Master P.
Yep.
And,
Yep. All that.
I do that's all me. I do the rap and then I do gospel. I do like my gospel, but when I feel ratchet, I say let's play this to that, and my daughter be like, Mom, I be like, that's my thing. Okay, so. What could you give your younger self advice? What's something you would tell the younger you now?
Love you first.
Good.
That
Yeah.
was easy. Love you first.
Mm-hmm.
Because I used to find happiness, and I
Mm-hmm.
still do, in helping other people and making them happy, to the
Yes.
point where I drained myself by loving others too much. So
Mm-hmm.
now I'm first above anybody and everybody, my son included, because he deserves the best version of me.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's beautiful. That is so true. And I think it's being a people's pleaser.
Mhm.
I learned that I was a people's pleaser. And so like you said, I almost, I was so worried about you in all aspects to make sure you was good. I didn't care about, hey, okay, as long as you good, then I'm good.
Yeah, well, through EMDR therapy, they taught me, because of dealing with PTSD pretty much my whole life, or traumas. The reason I was like that is because I didn't want anybody else to hurt me. So so she said what it is subconsciously somebody who's been hurt so much in their life, they try to make everybody happy and do for them so they don't hurt them.
Oh, wow. I like
That
that.
is
I'm gonna have to get, okay.
that is a
Uh,
subconscious thing.
that's deep. Okay, I never thought about it like that. Okay, that's deep. Okay, what's a fun fact about you that people do not know?
Mm. Other than I died,
Yeah.
I came back. I'm an adrenaline junkie.
Okay.
Like, I've been skydiving twice,
Uh,
and I ride
oh,
motorcycles.
wow, that is great. I hate motorcycles. I do want to skydive. I said that is on my bucket list. I do want to do that, but no, I'm so scared of motorcycles.
Yeah.
I hate them. Well, how can people, do you have anything that's going on that we can support? How can people follow you? How can they get in touch with you? Share, have your way with that.
Um, my Facebook is Sabrina Fisher. Under Instagram, my handle is Coach Sabrina Fisher.
Okay.
I share all my ups and downs. I'm not one of these people who go to social media to make this life seem perfect.
Yes.
When I have a bad or struggling time, I post that too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an online fitness coach. I don't normally look for more clients, but I always say that God will send me who's ready to be helped and guided. I do that as I don't have to have that job. I have a daytime job, but I do that to help other people.
Okay.
And I don't charge ridiculous amounts of money for it because, again, I want to be a blessing to others, to not have to feel like they're choosing between a bill or their children or life to take care of themselves. But other than that, it's just the biggest way to me that you could support me is just, if you know somebody who's going through something like this, share my story to them so that they know that they will overcome it.
Yes, yes. Well, I thank you once again. Like I said, if you hadn't shared your story in that group, we would have never been blessed by you today, just sharing your story. I would have never known anything happened to your face. They done amazing. You're absolutely gorgeous. So I would have not, I didn't know that. So now I'm like, okay, I got to go on her page and find these pictures because I didn't know that. So I thank you all. Make sure anyone that's listening, that's watching this video, reach out to Coach Bri if you want your mental, your spiritual, or your natural body helped. She is the person to go to. You all book her for your platforms. This is the type of stories and testimonies we need to hear because we got a lot of life to live. We ain't trying to go nowhere right now. So you all make sure you got anything else you want to say before we go?
There's healing and communication.
There's healing and communication. You need to put that on the shirt, girl. I like that. There is healing and communication. You all don't forget to like, share this story. Make sure you get it on all platforms. Once again, thank you for joining the lab. You could be anywhere else, but you're right here today with your girl, BrandiJ and Coach Bri. As I tell you every week, I love you. But what's most important, God loves us. And he loves you so much, he woke you up another day with the activity of your limbs. So until next week, you all have an amazing Saturday. I got an appointment I got to get to. So I thank you, Coach Bri, once again. Everybody else, have a great day. And thank you all for tuning in. Peace out. Thanks, Bri.